Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 691, we're going to talk about Tawnos, Urza's Apprentice. But we're not going to talk about why the art looks like he's trying to sell us a used car. Anyway, for 2 mana, we get a 1/3 human artificer with haste, because that's good, because he's got a tap ability. Blue and red, tap. Copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an artifact source. You can choose new targets for the copy. Mana abilities can't be targeted because they don't obviously use the stack; they just resolve. So, activated is pretty straightforward. You activate the ability, and it. But then the triggers, what we're looking for is the when, whenever, at. Those keywords indicate the trigger. But so we want to trigger just artifacts. We want to copy abilities of artifacts. So this is an Is It artifact deck. So we're going to start with the mana fixing, as it were. There's a bunch here. We have Soul Ring, Replicating Ring. Believe it or not, I actually fired up Arena the other day, and Replicating Ring got there. Granted, by the time I got the copies, I didn't really need it because I was... Anyway. Talisman of Creativity, Sisay's Ring, Is It Cluestone, Commander's Sphere, Is It Key Rune, Pristine Talisman, Sky Diamond, Is It Locket, Spectral Searchlight, Is It Signet, Silver Mirror. It's a creature, but effectively this is a Sky Diamond because Sky Diamond comes into play tap. This comes into play sick. Same thing. It's just this dies to a wipe, right? Unstable Obelisk can kind of double as removal. Very expensive removal, but you know what? With this much ramp, we got it. And that's an ability. We can spend 7, tap it, sack it, to copy it, to destroy 2 permanents with our commander. So that's... And then the Vedalken Engineer here, spend only to play artifacts or abilities of artifacts. So that's what we're doing. So I felt like a really good fit for the Vedalken Engineer. Now, I don't consider Manifold Key to be a mana rock, but it totally can, right? And I mean, to untap another artifact just like Voltaic Key or all the rest. But it can. So, card draw, a little bit of Thought Cast and Mechanate. Now, let's get into our artifact creatures because, we got to have creatures, right? We have Combustible Gearhulk that uses that beautiful word, when. Yeah, when it enters the battlefield, target opponent may have you draw... hey, copy it. Pretty sweet, huh? And then we have a Skill Borrower, because, we're doing all the things. Thopter Assembly. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control no other Thopters, we're going to copy that. So we're going to return this to our hand, get, 10 Thopters. Myriad Construct. I mean, that's just... Foundry Inspector is kind of obvious, all your artifacts costing less. We have a Triskelion. We gotta have a Traxos, right? I mean, just for the beats. That's it. That's the only reason. It's a 7/7 for 4 that in this deck just about does not have a downside. Meteor Golem, that ability can be copied when it enters the battlefield. That's pretty sweet. Chief of the Foundry, of course, going to champion them all. Steel Overseer, we have a lot of artifact creatures. I mean, a whole lot, especially since we're playing with Sharding Sphinx. So, yeah, here again, whenever. Shimmer Mirror is our budget Vedalken Ore, because, most of our deck is artifacts. I forget exactly how many. The list is on Architect down below. Y'all can check it out. Scuttling Doom Engine. When it dies, so we can copy that ability. Signal Pest. When it attacks. Fairy Mechanist doesn't want to get in the... Comes into play, you look at the top, when, So that glare is messing with me a little bit. There we go. Ethereum Sculptor, of course, making them all cheaper. Mirror Battlesphere. I love the mirror ball. I love that art because it's so indicative of what it is. It's just a bunch of mirror just balled up. This has got two. When it enters the battlefield, when it attacks. So, both of those are copyable. And then, of course, we got Bosch, who just gets angry and throws things at people. But it works. Now, we have some other cards that care about artifacts, but aren't actually artifacts. You know what I'm talking about. Mirror Maid, Duretti Scrap Savant, and then other creatures. We've got Feldon. We have Thrumming Bird, because, proliferate's really good. Especially repeatable proliferate on a 1/1. It comes down early. It's a flyer, so it's not always going to get blocked. You can probably get 3 or 4 hits out of this. 3 or 4 proliferate before everybody develops a... And then some decks just can't handle it. And, for the most part, people don't get mind pinged 1. It's the proliferate part that gets them. Workshop Elders. Now, I know this is a very expensive 4/4. But, man, to make all your artifacts have flying... And then, at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have target non-creature artifact you control become an artifact creature, put 4 counters on it. Kind of neat. That led me into March of the Machines. We have all these mana rocks. We have all of these non-creature artifacts that we're about to get to. March of the Machines. Also, this is the reason why, fair warning, I have 1 equipment in the deck. Swiftfoot Boots, that's it. And that's just because it's too good not to play, and I had 1. But March of the Machines will automatically unequip all equipment. Creatures cannot equip other creatures. Yet. I'm sure that ability's in the works somewhere. But, yeah. That's why there's only 1 equipment. Now, we have Dalakos. Equip... that line doesn't matter, but... it's mana ramp. It taps for 2. We have the Shimmer Dragon. We're going to have 4 more artifacts, right? So this is a 5/6 hexproof that you can tap 2 artifacts to draw a card. What? That is really good. Hellkite Igniter. That's a fire breathing right there. Now, if you've got the Darksteel Forge or the Miles of the Lattice, yeah, go nuts. It's awesome. I just didn't have any more for this deck. It would have been really awesome for the Hellkite Tyrant. If you control 20 more artifacts, which is actually doable in this deck without the Michelson. But if you don't want to go that route and try to build up your board, you can always eat it all. ATOG style. Then, let's see. Let's look through our non-creature artifacts. The Forsaken Monument. Because this is... I actually played this deck once. Did get the Forsaken Monument out. Did get the March of the Machines. And those two made the Forsaken Monument a 7/7. So, it's kind of nice. And that life gain is no joke. The ramp is no joke. Golem's Heart. Normally, you wouldn't really... Because it doesn't do anything but gain you life. But, it's a 2/2 sometimes. Throne of Geth, of course, the proliferate thing. Turmod's Crypt, because you never know when you're going to need it. Titan Forge. Yeah, I like crank out 9/9s. Phyrexian Processor. I like to crank out 20/20s too. Liquid Metal Coating. This matters a lot for your untapped target artifact stuff. You can turn it into, or I have used liquid metal coating in offensively, where I have had in some decks where I think the one play was I couldn't destroy the target, but they couldn't destroy it because it was a creature, and I turned it into an artifact, and they naturalized it. So, working together. Of course, I love the Forum engine because it does all the things. Mizium's Transreliquat also does all the things. And then Prototype Portal. Now, we don't have a whole lot of removal, just 3 counter spells. I mean, we have Mana Leak, Negate, and Ionize. I use Counter Magic as a don't touch my thing. And oh no, you didn't kind of thing. And then Aligned Hedron Network. All creatures with power 5. This is like a super O-ring. I run across it and I was like, I don't understand why I haven't been playing this more. You know what I'm saying? So, that brings us to our non-basic lands. Now, you know it, you guessed it. There's the Seed of Synod and the Great Furnace. We have a lot of non-basics simply because most of our deck doesn't require a whole lot of color. So, we do have the Highland Lake, Temple of Epiphany, Is It Boilerworks, Prismari Campus, Is It Guildgate, Swiftwater Cliffs. But then, because we have so much colorless, it's not as color demanding. Zhalfir Void gives us that free scry. Emergence Zone, if we just gotta have flash at that moment. Urza's Factory can just generate assembly workers. Of course, Warped Landscape. Sometimes you may not even need to sack it. Quicksand. Tyrite Sanctum. Buried Ruins are a really good one. This is getting full. I normally don't have this many lands. Desert. We've still got the other stuff, Terramorphic, Evolving, Transguild, Lonely Sandbar, and finally, Command Tower. So that is Tawnos, Urza's used car salesman. And I don't remember exactly how I did. I didn't do real bad. We play a lot of huge games, though. We'll have a lot of 5, 6, 7 player games. Whoever shows up, that's how much we have. But 691, we're going to start the row. I'm probably going to finish that row today. But that is what we have got for today. I do appreciate y'all watching. That was pretty quick at 13 minutes. Let me know what you think, and we're going to keep plugging along. But right now, it's time to shuffle and cut.